My name is Leo Miller, and I'm about as generic as a high school student gets. The kind of guy who could vanish into a crowd in 3 seconds flat. If there was anything remarkable about me, it was my family situation, or lack thereof. My parents died a while back, leaving me with my grandma, getting by on her meager Social Security checks and whatever I could scrape together for my part-time job. My world, for the most part, was gray, until the day it was violently ripped open by 3 impossibly vibrant colors. First, there was Claire Sterling, the school's ice queen, the girl every guy at Northwood High dreamed about. She was as beautiful and untouchable as a flower on a snow-capped mountain. She walked up to my desk, carrying a steaming mug of hot chocolate, and placed it in front of me while the entire class stared like they'd just seen a ghost. Her voice was cool, but held an edge of command. "Drink this. You look like you need it." Right on her heels was Lily Meadows, a sweet girl from the year below who looked like a startled bunny. She clutched a meticulously wrapped lunchbox, her face flushed as she squeezed her way to my desk. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Leo, I made this for you. Please take it." Before I could even process what was happening, a loud, arrogant "Move it" cut through the air from the doorway. Ruby Valdez, the resident spoiled princess, stormed in like a crimson hurricane, wearing a pair of limited edition sneakers. She slammed a can of Monster Energy on my desk with a loud bang, then whipped her head away, though I could see the tips of her ears turning red. "Hey, you look half dead. This is for me. Drink it and get your act together." Dead silence fell over Mr. Henderson's senior homeroom. Every pair of eyes in the room felt like a scalpel dissecting me. I could feel the death glare from the football captain, Tyler Hogan. He'd been chasing Claire for 2 years and had never gotten more than a 2-word sentence out of her, let alone been hand-delivered hot chocolate. I was completely lost. I swear, before that moment, my interactions with these 3 untouchable girls were less than 0. Now, it was like they coordinated a full-scale assault on my quiet life, staging the year's most surreal drama, when 3 goddesses go crazy for a nobody. My gray world was officially a chaotic mess. "Leo, what the hell is going on?" my best friend, Kevin Garcia, whispered, nudging me with his elbow. The shock and pure, unadulterated gossip were practically shooting out of his eyes like laser beams. What could I say? If I told him I had no idea, would he even believe me? I stared at the 3 bizarre offerings on my desk. A pristine white mug of steaming hot chocolate, a lovingly prepared lunch wrapped in a pink cloth, and a flashy red can of energy drink. They felt like 3 ticking time bombs that had just blown my peaceful existence to smithereens. After her delivery, Claire had returned to her seat, her frosty demeanor back in place, as if the whole thing had been a figment of my imagination. But every now and then, I'd catch her cool eyes peering at me over the top of her book. Lily stood frozen by my desk, nervously twisting the hem of her sweater, her wide eyes a mix of hope and anxiety. Ruby, however, was the most extra. She grabbed a spare chair, plopped down next to me, crossed her arms, and glared with a look that screamed, "I dare you not to drink it." I felt like a single-celled organism being studied by 3 prehistoric predators. Every nerve in my body was screaming, Thanks, all of you, but..." I started, trying to find a way to politely decline this sudden, overwhelming generosity. "No buts." Claire cut me off from across the room. "Please, Leo." Lily's voice trembled like she was about to cry. "Just drink it, idiot. Are you deaf?" Ruby scowled impatiently. 3 completely different tones, 1 single, non-negotiable message. I was cornered, soaked in the gazes of every envious, jealous, and utterly bewildered student in the class. I felt my scalp tingle. Finally, I reached for the Monster Energy, twisted the cap, and took a swig. I had to go for the path of least resistance. No, I had to appease the most ferocious one first. Ruby Valdez was clearly not someone you wanted to piss off. Sure enough, a triumphant smirk flickered across her lips before she quickly masked it with a scowl. "About time," she huffed. Across from me, Lily's expression fell. She looked like a kicked puppy, and it made my chest ache. Claire just shot me a fleeting glance, a flicker of something complex in her eyes, before her face went back to its usual serene blankness. The entire morning passed in that bizarre, tense atmosphere. The second the bell rang for lunch, Kevin was on me. "Dude, you're a legend. Spill it." What kind of voodoo did you use on those three? I gave him a tired smile. If I knew, I'd be selling it online, not sitting in pre-calc. Yeah, right. He clearly didn't buy it. Seriously, though, watch your back. The way Ty Hogan is looking at you. I'm surprised you haven't spontaneously combusted. I followed his gaze. Sure enough, Tyler Hogan, all 6'3" of him, was staring daggers at me from across the cafeteria, his knuckles white as he clenched his fists. I sighed. What did I do to deserve this? It was a disaster I hadn't even signed up for. I needed to escape. During the lunch break, I slipped out of the crowded cafeteria and headed for the roof to get some peace and quiet. I just reached the stairwell when a cool voice stopped me. Where are you going? It was Claire. She was just standing there, looking like a painting that was too perfect for the gritty high school hallway. I was just going to the roof. For some air, I mumbled, feeling awkward. I'll come with you, she said. Her tone was flat, but it wasn't a request. I froze. The coldest girl in school wanted to hang out on the roof with a nobody like me? If that got out, the school's gossip forums would crash. No, it's fine. I'm good alone, I said quickly. Claire didn't reply. She just walked past me, her long legs carrying her effortlessly up the stairs toward the roof. The message was clear. You're going, whether you like it or not. Defeated, I followed her. The metal door creaked open, and the warm afternoon breeze hit us, lifting Claire's long, dark hair. She walked to the edge of the roof, looking out over the campus below without a word. The silence stretched between us. Leo, she finally said. Yeah. Stay away from Ruby Valdez and Lily Meadows. Her voice was still cool, but now it held an undertone I couldn't decipher. I was more confused than ever. Why? They'll get you hurt. Claire turned to face me, and her beautiful eyes were fixed on mine. They held a seriousness, and was that concern I had never seen before. Her stare made me uncomfortable. Hurt? How? Were they going to drown me in hot chocolate and bury me in homemade sandwiches? I don't get it. You will, she said, and then turned away, leaving me with even more questions than before. That afternoon, during gym class, we had free time. Tyler Hogan and a couple of his buddies cornered me behind the bleachers. Heard you're a real big shot now, Miller, Tyler sneered, bouncing a basketball menacingly. My stomach dropped. I knew this was coming. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, keeping my voice as steady as I could. You don't. He laughed, then slammed the ball down by my feet. Claire, Ruby, Lily, they're practically royalty. So what's a charity case like you doing getting their attention? Huh? What kind of game are you playing? I'm not playing any game. Still talking back, one of his cronies shoved me. Answer the man. I clenched my jaw and said nothing. Arguing with guys like this was pointless. Looks like we'll have to knock some sense into you, Tyler said, cracking his knuckles as he stepped closer. Just then, a sharp, arrogant voice cut through the air. Tyler Hogan, you lay one finger on him and see what happens. It was Ruby. She stood there like a proud, fiery phoenix, hands on her hips, blocking me from them. Tyler was clearly not expecting her. His tough guy act deflated instantly. Everyone knew Ruby's family practically owned half the city. A high school jock like him couldn't afford to cross her. Ruby, this has nothing to do with you. It's between me and him, Tyler said, his voice suddenly much softer. His business is my business. Ruby shot back, her chin held high. I'm warning you, Hogan. Leave him alone from now on, or I'll make sure you don't have a school to come back to. Tyler's face went from red to white. He shot me one last, hateful glare before grumbling something to his friends and slinking away. The crisis was over. I looked at the small, defiant girl standing in front of me, a strange mix of feelings swirling in my chest. Thanks, I said softly. Oomph. Who needs your thanks? She spun around, back to her usual haughty self. I just don't like seeing my people get bullied, that's all. With that, her face turned bright red. She muttered idiot and ran off. I watched her go, a small smile on my face. That girl was something else. After school, I turned down Lily's shy offer to walk home together. I needed to be alone. Everything that happened today kept replaying in my head like a bizarre movie. What was with these three girls? Nothing they did made any sense. Claire tells me to stay away from the other two, saying they'll hurt me. Then Ruby jumps in to save me from a beating. And Lily's persistent kindness didn't seem like an act. The more I thought, the bigger my headache got. I live in an old, rundown apartment complex with dim streetlights and deep alleyways. As I rounded a corner, I felt a sudden rush of air behind me. I instinctively ducked my head just as a wooden plank whistled past my face. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. I spun around to see Tyler and his goons. "Not so fast, Miller," Tyler sneered. "No princess here to protect you now." My heart sank. This was bad. This alley was deserted. Yelling wouldn't do any good. "What do you want, Hogan?" I asked, my voice low. "I want you to learn your place." "Stay away from Claire Sterling," he shouted, raising the plank to bring it down on my head. I shut my eyes, bracing for the impact, but the pain never came. I opened my eyes to a sight I would never forget. A small figure in a school uniform was standing in front of me. It was Lily. She had her arms spread wide, like a mother hen protecting her chick, taking the full force of Tyler's blow with her frail back. There was a sickening thud. Lily let out a muffled groan, her body swaying, but she didn't fall. "Don't you dare hurt Leo." Her voice was trembling with pain, but her tone was unbelievably firm. Tyler and his friends were stunned. They probably never imagined that this timid, quiet girl had this kind of courage. "Are you crazy?" Tyler stammered. "Run, Leo, run," Lily yelled, turning her head back to me. A trickle of blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. My mind went blank. Then, a tidal wave of pure rage surged up from the pit of my stomach. I don't know where the strength came from, but I shoved Lily out of the way and launched myself forward, kicking Tyler square in the stomach. He cried out and crumpled to the ground. His friends snapped out of their shock and swarmed me. I went ballistic, fighting like a cornered animal, all instinct and fury. My wild, desperate attack must have scared them, because after a few frantic moments, they scrambled away, leaving Tyler whimpering on the ground before he too fled. The alley was quiet again, leaving just me and Lily. I rushed to her side, catching her as her legs gave out. "Are you okay? What did he hit you?" "I'm okay, Leo," she whispered, giving me a weak smile before her eyes rolled back and she passed out in my arms. Holding her small, limp body, I felt a primal fear I'd never known before. I carried her on my back, running like a madman to the nearest urgent care clinic. Thankfully, the doctor said it was just severe bruising and shock. She will be fine. I sat by her bedside as she slept, my mind reeling. Why? Why would she do that for me? We were barely even acquaintances. Just then, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. After a moment's hesitation, I picked it up. It was a text from an unknown number. The message was short. "I knew you'd save him, but don't forget we're rivals." My blood ran cold. Who sent that? Claire? Ruby, we're rivals. What did that mean? Were they all after me for a reason? What were they competing for? One mystery after another wrapped around me like an invisible net, pulling me deeper into confusion. The next day, Lily didn't come to school. The moment I walked into homeroom, I felt two very different stares lock onto me. Claire's was cool, as usual, but with a new, probing intensity. Ruby's was pure, undisguised anger. And was that jealousy? "Hey, idiot." Ruby marched up to my desk. "Why isn't Lily here? What did you do to her?" I looked at her, my own feelings a tangled mess, and quickly explained what had happened the night before. After I finished, Ruby just stood there, stunned. Then her expression turned ugly. "That bastard Hogan!" She slammed her fist on my desk, then glared at me. "And you're a grown man, and you let a girl protect you? You're useless." I didn't argue. She was right. I've been useless. If it weren't for Lily, I'd be the one in a hospital bed. From now on, I'm protecting you myself, Ruby declared, then stormed back to her seat. I watched her go, but all I could think about was that mysterious text message. What in the world did they want from me? The days that followed were even more surreal. Claire brought me a latte every single morning, without fail. She'd also find reasons to keep me from doing anything potentially dangerous. For example, she once told me the bolts on the basketball hoop on the east side of the court were loose, and that I should stay away. The next day, the whole backboard came crashing down during gym class. Ruby became my self-appointed bodyguard, shadowing my every move. Any guy who even looked at me funny got a death stare that could curdle milk. She also forced a brand new iPhone on me, claiming it was so she could get in touch whenever I want. As for Lily, she didn't come back to school after that day. I texted her, but she never replied. I could feel a tense, unspoken standoff between the three of them. They were each trying to protect me in their own way, while simultaneously being wary of the other two. It was almost like they could see the future. The absurd thought popped into my head and refused to leave. The basketball hoop wasn't a coincidence. And there was another time in chemistry when the teacher called on me to answer a question that was way beyond our syllabus. I was about to be totally humiliated when Claire, sitting behind me, slid a note onto my desk with the exact answer and a step-by-step explanation. I started watching them. I noticed they would sometimes, unintentionally, say things about the future. It's going to pour on Tuesday. Bring an umbrella, Claire would mention on a Monday. Don't eat the mystery meatloaf at the cafeteria tomorrow. The ground beef is tainted, Ruby would say, snatching my tray and replacing it with a gourmet meal her family's chef had prepared. And every single one of their predictions came true. My heart sank. This world was not what I thought it was. Or maybe they weren't from this world. The turning point came one weekend. I was at my part-time job at the Burger Barn. Ruby insisted on coming along, parking her flashy red sports car right out front to supervise my work ethic, as she put it. Around 3 in the afternoon, the diner was slow. I was in the back washing dishes when I heard a commotion and screams from the front. I rushed out to see a man in a baseball cap and a mask holding a knife to a customer's throat. Give me all the money. Now, he yelled at the cashier. A robbery. The few customers in the diner were hiding under tables. Ruby was startled, but she recovered quickly, pulling out her phone to call the police. The robber spotted her. Hey, put the phone down, he screamed, shoving the hostage away and lunging toward Ruby. My brain switched off. I acted on pure instinct, throwing myself in front of her. Leave her alone. Come after me. In that split second, all I could think was that I couldn't let her get hurt. The robber paused, then sneered. Playing the hero, huh? Fine, I'll take care of you first. He raised the knife and stabbed at me. My pupils shrank. My feet felt nailed to the floor. This is it. In that heart-stopping moment, 2 figures, one in white, one in pink, burst through the diner doors like phantoms. The figure in white was Claire. She was holding a mop handle she must have grabbed from outside, and she swung it with pinpoint accuracy, cracking the robber's wrist. The knife clattered to the floor. The figure in pink was Lily. She appeared behind the robber, and in one fluid motion, executed a perfect shoulder throw, slamming the man, who was twice her size, onto the ground. The whole thing was over in a flash. Ruby and I just stared dumbfounded. Claire looked as cool as ever, as if she'd just swatted a fly. But Lily, the girl I remembered as a timid rabbit, now had a fierce, dangerous look in her eyes. She looked like a completely different person. The police arrived quickly and hauled the robber away, leaving the 4 of us standing in the silent, trash diner. The atmosphere was thick with tension. What are you two doing here? I asked, looking between Claire and Lily. Just passing by, Claire said flatly. I was worried about you, Leo, Lily mumbled, looking at the floor, her timid demeanor returning. But the image of her takedown was seared into my brain. Ruby looked from one to the other, then let out a cold laugh. Passing by? Worried? Keep lying. Claire, aren't you supposed to be at a national mathlete training camp? And Lily, didn't you call in sick for the whole week? You two have been tracking my car, haven't you? Claire and Lily's faces tightened. Who are you people? Why are you so obsessed with Leo? Ruby demanded. I could ask you the same thing, Claire retorted, not backing down. Why do you care so much, princess? Ruby was speechless for once. As another fight was about to break out, I felt my head start to throb. Enough, I snapped. They all went quiet, looking at me. I took a deep breath, my gaze sweeping over each of them. You can see the future, can't you? And you're not normal high school students. You know how to fight. And this rivalry between you, what is it really about? I want an explanation. Right now. My voice was calm, but my tone was absolute. They were silent. Finally, Claire sighed, as if she'd made a decision. This isn't the place. Follow me. She took us to the Gilded Bean, the fanciest coffee shop in the city, and got us a private room. The mood was heavy. Leo, what we're about to tell you might change your entire understanding of reality, Claire said, her expression more serious than I'd ever seen it. Are you ready? I nodded. We are from the future. We've been reborn. That first sentence hit me like a lightning strike. Reborn? Like something out of fantasy novel? The three of us, we all come from different timelines, Claire continued. And in each of our past lives, the world was destroyed. Destroyed? My throat felt dry. The one that destroyed, it was a being called the Void Lord. It was unimaginably powerful. Humanity was helpless against it. And in each of our separate pasts, there was one thing in common. Claire paused, her eyes filled with a deep, complicated sadness. You, Leo, you died protecting us from the Void Lord. My heart ceased. I died? Protecting them? How is that possible? I was just a normal guy. Ruby picked up the story, her voice raspy, her eyes red. In my timeline, when the apocalypse started, my dad and I were trapped in his office building. You showed up out of nowhere, driving this beat-up old pickup truck, just plowing through monsters to get to us. In the end, to get us to the helicopter on the roof, you blew up the building's main gas line, taking out a whole swarm of them with you. I just remember you smiled at me and said, "This time, Princess, let me be the one to protect you." Ruby couldn't finish, her shoulders shaking. I couldn't even picture it. What must I have been thinking? Then Lily spoke, her voice choked with tears. In my past, I was cornered by monsters in the school library. You stood at the door with a fire axe. Just you. You fought for 3 days and 3 nights, covered in wounds. Finally, you were just too exhausted, and they overwhelmed you. The last thing you said to me was, "Live, Lily. Live, and see the sun for me." Tears streamed down her face. My chest felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. Finally, it was Claire's turn. Her voice was still cool, but I could hear a faint tremor in it. In my timeline, I was the supreme commander of the human resistance. And you were my second in command and our strongest soldier. We found the Void Lord's weakness, but exploiting it required a suicide mission to detonate a source bomb. Everyone was silent. You were the only one who stepped forward. You said to me, "It's been an honor, Commander." And then, you never came back. Claire closed her eyes, and a single tear escaped, tracing a path down her cheek. We were all reborn, sent back 3 years before the end. We came back with our memories and some of our abilities. Our only purpose is to change the future, to protect you, to stop you from dying again, because we all learned the truth too late. You, Leo, are the key to saving the world. Your body contains the only power capable of fighting the Void Lord. It just needs a catalyst to awaken. In our timelines, you died before that could ever happen. So this time, we have to keep you alive, no matter what, until that power awakens. The truth. It was all out. Their bizarre behavior, their impossible knowledge, their rivalry. It was because I was carrying the weight of 3 different timelines of love and regret. I, the supposedly normal kid, was the future savior of the world. It was insane. It was crushing. I looked at the 3 girls, at the grief, remorse, and fierce determination in their eyes. My mind was a wreck. So, what's the competition about? I asked the last question nagging at me. Their expressions immediately turned awkward. Ruby, never one to hold back, blurted it out. "We all think our way of protecting you is the best. This Ice Queen," she jabbed a thumb at Claire, "wants to lock you in a gilded cage and keep you from everything. And this crybaby," she motioned to Lily, "just knows I'll make you lunch. How is that going to help? I'm the only one who can train you to be a real fighter." "You mean turn him into a reckless meathead?" Claire shot back coldly. "Leo needs a calm mind and strategic planning, not your brute force." "You're both wrong." Lily piped up, mustering her courage. "Leo needs warmth and support. He needs a positive environment to grow strong." As another war was about to erupt, I cut them off. "Stop. Our goal is the same, right? To fight the Void Lord and save the world. That doesn't make us rivals. It makes us a team. From now on, we're the Savior Protection Squad. We work together, we plan together." I looked at each of them, my voice firm. They exchanged glances, still looking unconvinced, but they finally nodded. A world-ending crisis, and the first plan to stop it was being hatched by 4 high school students in the back room of a coffee shop. The first order of business for the Savior Protection Squad was a complete overhaul of me. In their words, the savior of the world couldn't have the muscle tone of a noodle. Every morning at 5, Claire would drag me out of bed for 2 hours of brutal physical conditioning and combat training. Her methods were military grade, and by the end of it each day, I felt like my body was going to fall apart. During school hours, Ruby was in charge of practical application. She would launch surprise attacks on me in empty hallways between classes to test my reflexes. I was constantly covered in bruises, which she called tough love. After school was Lily's logistical support shift. She would prepare nutrient-packed meals and protein shakes to help my body recover. She also knew some kind of miracle massage technique that melted away the day's aches and pains. Her gentle hands felt like heaven. My physical condition improved at an astonishing rate. My scrawny frame started to fill out, and I could even see the faint outline of muscles. More importantly, my entire mindset changed. I was no longer the aimless kid with no future. I had a purpose, a heavy responsibility. For them, and for the world, I had to get stronger. The peace didn't last long. The crisis of the future began to bleed into our present. At first, it was just small, strange incidents. Pets started disappearing from the suburbs. Vague posts about monsters in the city shadows would appear online, only to be scrubbed within minutes. We all knew what it was. The Void Lord's power seeping into our world. His scouts had arrived. Our first real encounter happened on a rainy night. I was walking home from my shift. As usual, Claire, Ruby, and Lily were trailing me from a distance, my personal escort. As I turned into that same familiar, dark alley, I was hit by a thick, rotten smell. I stopped, peering into the shadows. "Come out," I called. A person slowly emerged from the darkness. I say person because it had a human shape, but its skin was a sickly gray-black, its eyes glowed crimson, and sharp fangs jutted from its mouth. A void beast, a pawn of the Void Lord, Claire's voice said from behind me, tight with tension. "So it begins," Ruby said, a hint of excitement in her voice. Lily silently slipped on a pair of silver knuckle dusters she pulled from her backpack. The void beast spotted us. It let out an inhuman screech and charged straight at me, moving with unnatural speed. But after weeks of training, I wasn't the same helpless kid anymore. I sidestepped its lunge and chopped at the back of its neck. The blow sent it stumbling, but it didn't seem to do any real damage. It shook its head and charged again. Its weak point is its heart, Claire yelled. I changed my strategy, using my newfound agility to weave around its attacks, looking for an opening. Ruby and Lily closed in from the sides. Ruby's attacks were powerful and direct, while Lily's movements were fluid and unpredictable, aimed at its legs. We worked together with a surprising, unspoken synergy. After a few minutes, I saw my chance. Ruby landed a solid kick that sent the beast staggering back. I lunged forward, channeling all my strength into my right fist, and drove it straight into the creature's chest. My fist tore through its flesh. A foul-smelling black liquid splattered all over me. The void beast let out a piercing shriek as its body deflated like a punctured balloon, melting into a puddle of black ooze on the pavement. The fight was over. We were all breathing heavily, but a sense of exhilaration hung in the air. It was our first real battle as a team, our first victory against an enemy from the future. Not bad, idiot, Ruby grinned, clapping me on the shoulder. Are you hurt, Leo? Lily asked, her eyes wide with concern. I shook my head, staring at my fist. The power behind that last punch had surprised even me. Something inside me was definitely waking up. That first victory gave us a surge of confidence, but it also made us realize how close the danger was. We started actively patrolling the city at night, hunting for void beasts hiding in the shadows. Our teamwork became flawless. Claire was our strategist, the brain of the operation. Ruby was our vanguard, always leading the charge. Lily was the perfect assassin, striking from the shadows at the most critical moments. And me? With every fight, the power inside me grew stronger. I found I could instinctively see the void beast's weak points. My strength and speed had already surpassed human limits. I could even summon a faint golden light around my fists, a light that was devastatingly effective against them. Claire called it holy light, the only energy that could purify the void. It was my innate ability as the savior. My power was awakening. Our squad became the city's secret guardians. By day, we were normal high school students, trying to enjoy the last bit of peace we had. By night, we were warriors. It was an exhausting double life, but it was fulfilling, especially when I had to deal with the girls fighting over me. Leo, it's the weekend. I'm taking you to my family's private range to practice shooting, Ruby would announce. Absolutely not, Claire would counter. His power is still unstable. Firearms are too risky. I'm taking him to the library to study void creature anatomy. You guys stop fighting, Lily would say softly. Leo's been working so hard. He deserves a break. In those moments, I felt like my head was going to explode. But watching them argue over me, I felt a warmth I'd never known. I wasn't fighting alone. I had 3 girls behind me who would do anything for me. And that was enough. High school graduation came and went. All 4 of us got into the best university in the city. We thought we might finally get a stretch of relative calm. We were wrong. The Void Lord's invasion was happening much faster than any of them predicted. On the day of our university's opening ceremony, he arrived ahead of schedule. Without warning, the sky went dark, as if covered by a black shroud. A terrifying, palpably evil presence fell over the entire city. On the university's main field, space itself began to twist and warp, forming a massive black vortex made of wailing souls. A figure in a black robe, its face obscured by shadows, stepped out of the vortex. The sheer pressure of his presence made it hard to breathe. The Void Lord. He was 2 years early. How is this possible? Claire's face was pale. The timeline. It's been altered. It's because of us, Ruby said through gritted teeth. We killed too many of his scouts. We got his attention. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Lily was shaking. There's no time for that. I forced myself to stay calm. Get ready to fight. The students on the field were screaming, running in every direction. The Void Lord ignored them. His gaze cut through the chaos and locked onto us. 3 interesting little insects, carrying the scent of the future. His voice echoed directly inside my mind, a grating, rasping sound. And one, a vessel containing a light that I despise. So, it is you who have been disrupting my plans. He slowly raised a hand and pointed a finger at us. A beam of pure black energy shot toward me. Look out! Claire shoved me aside, summoning a shield of blue ice in front of her. The beam hit the shield, and it shattered like glass. Claire coughed up blood and was thrown backward. Claire! I screamed, my vision turning red. Forget me. He's after you. Run, she yelled, struggling to get up. Run? None of you are going anywhere, the Void Lord's voice mocked. From a vortex behind him, a tide of void beasts poured out, surrounding the field. We were trapped. Idiot. You go. We'll hold him off. Ruby roared. Flames erupted around her body as she shot toward the Void Lord like a human missile. It was her ability, blazing heart, burning her own life force for a burst of immense power. Ruby, no. I yelled, but it was too late. The light of an ant, the Void Lord scoffed. He waved a hand dismissively. Ruby's flames were instantly extinguished, and she was swatted out of the air like a fly, hitting the ground hard. Ruby, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. Leo, run, avenge us. Lily had appeared behind the Void Lord, her hands transformed into sharp blades of shadow, stabbing at his back. Her ability, Shadow Dance, granted her ultimate speed and piercing power. But the moment her blades touched his robe, they disintegrated. The Void Lord didn't even turn around. He backhanded her, sending her crumpling to the ground in a heap. It was over. Everything was over. Claire, Ruby, Lily. One after another, they fell. They were using their lives to buy me time to escape. Their eyes all screamed the same message at me. Live. Run. Regret. Fury. Helplessness. Grief. A volcano of emotions erupted inside me. Why was I so weak? If I had been stronger, if I had awakened my power sooner, they wouldn't have had to die. No, I let out a raw, desperate roar that tore from my throat. My mind flashed with 1,000 images. Claire shielding me from danger. Ruby taking a beating for me. Lily taking a blow meant for me. And then, the 3 tragic endings from their timelines. The me who blew up a building. The me who fought with a fire axe until I was overwhelmed. The me who calmly walked toward a bomb for the sake of humanity. In that instant, the wills of all those versions of me seemed to cross space and time, merging into one. So, this is it. I felt something inside me shatter. A warm, boundless power surged from my heart, flooding every cell in my body. A brilliant golden light exploded from me, shooting into the sky and blasting away the oppressive darkness. In the radiant light, my hair turned a brilliant gold. A pair of wings, woven from pure energy, unfurled from my back. Power. I was filled with an unimaginable power. I felt like I could shatter the planet with a single punch. So this was the power of the Savior? I slowly opened my eyes. My world had changed. I could see the flow of energy, hear the breathing of all living things. And I could see the flickering flames of life fading from the girls lying on the ground. No, I won't allow it. I raised my hand, and the golden light flowed from my fingertips into their bodies. Their wounds knitted shut before my eyes. The color returned to their faces. Leo. Claire was the first to wake, her eyes wide with shock. Your power. It's awakened. I didn't answer. I just gave her a gentle smile. Then I turned to face the Void Lord. For the first time, his voice held a trace of surprise. Impossible. This purity of holy light. How could you awaken now? I walked toward him one step at a time. With each step, my power grew, the very air around me vibrating with energy. Surprised, I looked at him, my voice as calm as if I were discussing the weather. You showed me what I'm fighting for. I glanced back at Claire and at Ruby and Lily, who were now sitting up, staring at me. Their eyes were a mixture of awe, adoration, and a love so deep it was overwhelming. I smiled at them. Last time, you protected me. This time, it's my turn to protect you. And with that, I vanished. When I reappeared, I was directly in front of the Void Lord. Too slow, I said softly, and threw a punch. It wasn't a fancy move, just a simple, straight punch. But it was infused with the power to purify all of existence. The Void Lord's demeanor changed from arrogance to alarm. He threw up a dozen shields of darkness in front of himself. But against my fist, they were as fragile as tissue paper. They shattered instantly. My fist connected squarely with his chest. With a deafening roar, the Void Lord's energy form rippled violently. He screamed in agony and was sent flying backward, carving a massive crater in the field. This is not possible. He rasped, struggling to rise. I gave him no time to recover. I opened my hand, and a long sword made of golden light materialized in my grasp. It's over. I raised the sword high and swung it down. 100-meter-long blade of golden energy tore through the sky. And no, the Void Lord howled in desperation, gathering all his power into a massive sphere of black energy to block the attack. It was useless. The golden sword wave cut through the black sphere as if it wasn't there, purifying and dissolving it on contact. Its momentum carried it forward, slicing the Void Lord, and the black vortex behind him, clean in two. There was no explosion, no grand finale. The Void Lord, and all the evil he brought with him, was simply erased in the cleansing light. The sky cleared. The sun shone down once more. It was as if the nightmare had never happened. I let my power recede, floating gently back to the ground. My golden hair and wings faded away. I was just Leo Miller again. But everyone knew I would never be the same. Claire, Ruby, and Lily ran to me, surrounding me. Are you okay? That was so cool. Leo. They all talked at once, their eyes shimmering with tears of relief and joy. I looked at them and smiled. I'm fine. I told you. This time I protect you. The crisis was over. The world was safe. And as I looked at the three girls who were already starting to bicker over who got to help me walk back, I found myself facing a whole new, much happier kind of problem. End.